The year America changed. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are not just looking at a car. We are opening a time capsule to a pivotal year in American history. 1957. Imagine the scene. The Soviet Union had just launched Sputnik, sending a chill of technological rivalry across the nation. The Cold War was a daily reality, yet domestically, the economy was booming. Elvis Presley was buying Graceland, and the American dream was shifting into high gear, fueled by cheap gasoline and a boundless, almost naive optimism. This was the year of the baby boomer, the year of the suburban explosion, and the year the automobile became less about mere transportation and more about a statement, a piece of rolling sculpture that defined your place in the world. The average American family was moving up, and they wanted a car that looked the part. Long, low, and powerful. In this environment of explosive change, the Ford Motor Company unveiled a car that was not just new, but revolutionary, the 1957 Ford Fairlane. For decades, the story of 1957 has been dominated by its rival, the Chevrolet. The 57 Chevy, with its iconic fins and timeless design, has been immortalized in song and film. But history, as we know, is often written by the loudest voice, not the most successful one. Today, we are going to correct the record. We are going to peel back the chrome and the paint to reveal 13 shocking secrets about the 1957 Ford Fairlane. Secrets that will fundamentally change the way you view this American icon. We will delve into the engineering decisions, the corporate battles, and the surprising facts that made this car the true champion of its model year. This is not just a car review. This is a historical deep dive, a look at the industrial might and design philosophy of mid-century America. So, settle in, grab a cup of coffee, and prepare to see the 57 Ford Fairlane not as a footnote, but as the true king of its year. Chapter 1. The Design Revolution and the Corporate Battleground. The 1957 model year represented a complete, ground-up redesign for Ford, a massive gamble that paid off handsomely. It was a radical departure from the previous boxy designs, and it was engineered to look lower, longer, and faster than anything else on the road. This was Ford's answer to the escalating design war with General Motors, a war fought with sheet metal and horsepower. Secret 1. The year Ford finally beat Chevy. This is perhaps the most crucial yet often forgotten fact of the 1957 model year. For the first time since 1935, a span of 22 years, Ford outsold its arch-rival Chevrolet in total production for the model year. This was the ultimate victory in the decades-long Ford versus Chevy battle for market dominance. The final tally saw Ford produce over 1.67 million units, narrowly beating Chevrolet's 1.5 million. This sales triumph was a direct result of the 57 Ford's revolutionary design and engineering. It was a moment of profound corporate pride, a testament to the risk Ford took with the new platform. The public voted with their wallets, and in 1957, they chose Ford. The fact that the 57 Chevy has since eclipsed the Ford in cultural memory is a fascinating study in marketing and nostalgia. But the historical record is clear. Ford won the sales war. Secret 2. The low-slung engineering. To achieve that sleek, low-slung profile, Ford engineers made a critical yet subtle change that had a profound visual impact. They reduced the wheel size from the traditional 15 inches down to 14 inches. This seemingly minor adjustment, combined with a new perimeter frame, allowed the entire body to sit lower to the ground by a crucial inch or two. The visual effect was dramatic. The car looked longer, wider, and more aggressive. It was a piece of optical engineering that gave Ford a distinct advantage over the competition that still rode higher on 15-inch wheels. This change was a calculated risk as it required new tire specifications, but it was essential to achieving the modern, jet-age look Ford was aiming for. Secret 3. The perimeter frame innovation. The 57 Ford introduced a completely new chassis design featuring a perimeter frame. This was a significant engineering upgrade. Unlike the older central rail frames, this new design moved the main rails outward, creating a wider, more stable platform. Crucially, it allowed the floor pan to be dropped down between the frame rails, fully enveloping the passengers. This design innovation had 3 major benefits. It contributed to the lower stance, as mentioned in Secret 2. It significantly improved passenger safety by creating a crush zone outside the passenger compartment, and it enhanced ride quality by allowing for a wider suspension geometry. This frame was the backbone of the 57 Ford's success, a piece of engineering brilliance often overshadowed by the flashy exterior. Secret 4. The unique differential design. Directly related to the low-slung design was a highly specialized component in the drivetrain, the rear differential. To accommodate the lower floor and drive shaft angle, Ford engineers utilized a differential whose pinion gear was exceptionally low relative to the axle shafts. This was a non-conventional hypoid differential design. This technical detail was absolutely necessary to keep the drive shaft tunnel as low as possible, allowing for the flat floor that contributed to the car's spacious interior and low profile. It's a testament to the fact that every component, down to the axle, was redesigned to meet the aesthetic goal. Chapter 2. The retractable marvel and the price of innovation. The Fairlane 500 was the top-tier trim line, and within that line sat a car that was, and remains, one of the most complex and fascinating pieces of engineering ever put into a mass-produced vehicle. The Skyliner. Secret 5. The retractable hardtop's complexity. The Fairlane 500 Skyliner was the world's first mass-produced car with a fully automatic, retractable hardtop. This was not a simple mechanism, it was an electromechanical symphony. To operate the roof, the car required 6 electric motors, 4 lift jacks, a network of relays, 10 solenoids, and over 610 feet of electrical wiring. The entire process of folding the massive steel roof into the trunk was a ballet of mechanical and electrical complexity, taking approximately 40 seconds to complete. This was a true marvel of 1950s ingenuity, a feature that no other manufacturer could match, and it instantly made the Skyliner the most talked-about car of the year. Secret 6. The trunk space paradox. While the Skyliner was a technological triumph, it came with a significant practical drawback that owners quickly discovered: zero usable trunk space when the top was retracted. The entire trunk cavity was dedicated to housing the folded roof and its complex machinery. The trunk lid itself was a 2-piece affair, with the rear section lifting up and the forward section retracting to allow the roof to slide in. This is a detail that often surprises modern enthusiasts, as it highlights the 1950s prioritization of spectacle and engineering over everyday utility. You could have the coolest car on the block, but you couldn't take much luggage with you on a weekend trip. Secret 7. The weight penalty and cost. All that steel, wiring, and mechanical hardware added up. The Skyliner model weighed in at approximately 4,600 pounds. This made it significantly heavier than the standard Fairlane convertible, which used a lighter cloth top. This substantial curb weight meant that while the Skyliner was a technological showpiece, it was also the slowest and least fuel-efficient model in the Fairlane lineup, a trade-off for its unique feature. Furthermore, it was the most expensive Ford model offered, with a price tag that put it in competition with some luxury brands. The high cost and complexity meant that only 20,766 units were sold in 1957, making it a rare sight, even then. Chapter 3. Power, Performance, and the Horsepower Wars. The 1957 Ford was not just about looks, it was a serious contender in the escalating horsepower wars of the mid-50s. Ford offered a range of engines that could satisfy everyone from the economy-minded commuter to the serious racer, all under the umbrella of the Thunderbird V8 family. Secret 8. The legendary E-Code engine. For the performance enthusiast, Ford offered the legendary E-Code engine option. This was a high-performance version of the 312 cubic-inch Thunderbird V8, equipped from the factory with two 4-barrel carburetors, a dual-quad setup. This engine was rated at a potent 270 horsepower and 336 lb-ft of torque. The E in the code referred to the engine option on the vehicle's data plate. This was a direct response to Chevrolet's fuel-injected V8, offering comparable power through a simpler, more traditional carburetor setup. The E-Code transformed the Fairlane from a stylish cruiser into a true muscle car precursor. Secret 9. The NASCAR-only F-Code. Even more exclusive than the E-Code was the ultra-rare F-Code engine. This was a special supercharged version of the 312 V8, factory-rated at a staggering 300 horsepower. The supercharger was a McCulloch-Paxton unit, a cutting-edge piece of technology for the time. However, this engine was primarily intended for NASCAR homologation and was only available to select racers and high-performance dealers. Very few were ever produced. Estimates suggest fewer than 200 cars were built with this option, making it one of the most sought-after and mythical engines in Ford history. Finding a genuine F-Code Fairlane today is the holy grail for many collectors. Secret 10. The Police Interceptor misnomer. The high-performance 312 cubic-inch V8 was often marketed with the Police Interceptor designation. While this sounds like a specialized, heavy-duty engine, the term was primarily a marketing tool designed to appeal to the male consumer's desire for power and authority. The actual Police Interceptor was a high-output version of the 312 V8, but the badge itself was simply a designation on the glove box door. It was a subtle, yet effective piece of psychological marketing that suggested the car had the kind of performance reserved for law enforcement, a clever way to sell speed to the public. Chapter 4. Safety, Controversy, and the Hidden Flaw. The 1957 Ford was also a pioneer in a field that the American public was not yet ready to embrace: automotive safety. This led to one of the most fascinating corporate missteps of the decade. Secret 11. The Lifeguard Safety Package. Failure Ford had introduced the groundbreaking Lifeguard Safety Package in 1956, and it continued to be available in 1957. This package included padded dashboards, sun visors, deep dish steering wheels, and most notably, factory-installed seat belts. Ford heavily promoted these features, a move championed by then-executive Robert McNamara. However, the public was largely indifferent and, in some cases, actively resistant. In a survey of 1957 Ford owners, only a tiny fraction, around 6.2%, ordered the seatbelts. The public simply did not want to be reminded of the dangers of driving, believing that talking about safety implied the car was inherently unsafe. This led to the famous and perhaps apocryphal quote attributed to Henry Ford II. "McNamara is selling safety, but Chevrolet is selling cars." The failure of the Lifeguard package was a major factor in Ford pulling back on safety promotion for years. Secret 12. The deep dish steering wheel. Despite the overall failure of the Lifeguard campaign, one feature proved to be a lasting and important innovation: the deep dish steering wheel. This design placed the steering column hub several inches away from the driver, creating a protective buffer zone. In the event of a collision, the design was intended to prevent the driver from impacting the steering column directly, A simple yet effective piece of passive safety engineering that was far ahead of its time. This feature, which was standard on many models, was a quiet success that saved countless lives, even if the public didn't buy into the full safety package. Secret 13. The hidden rust trap. While the '57 Ford was a design masterpiece, it suffered from a common yet severe issue of the era: rust. The new low-slung body and complex perimeter frame created numerous hidden pockets and channels where water, road salt, and dirt could collect and sit, leading to premature corrosion. This was particularly true around the lower fenders, rocker panels, and the complex seams of the Skyliner's trunk. The design, which was so successful aesthetically, was a nightmare for long-term metal preservation. For restorers today, this means that finding a truly rust-free example is a significant challenge, a hidden flaw in an otherwise brilliant design that has kept body shops busy for decades. Chapter 5. The Legacy and the Enduring Appeal. The 1957 Ford Fairlane was a car of contradictions, a sales champion that was overshadowed by its rival's enduring image, a technological marvel that was hampered by its own complexity, and a safety pioneer that the public ignored. It was a car that perfectly encapsulated the spirit of 1957, bold, innovative, and slightly flawed. The enduring appeal. The Fairlane's enduring appeal lies in its sheer audacity. The long, sweeping lines, the prominent tailfins, and the jet-age styling spoke directly to the American psyche of the time. It was a car that promised a future of speed and prosperity. The four distinct trim lines, Custom, Custom 300, Fairlane, and Fairlane 500, ensured there was a model for every budget, but all shared that unmistakable modern silhouette. The single headlight design, which was a carryover from the previous year, gave the '57 Ford a unique, almost aggressive face that was instantly recognizable. This was the last year before the industry-wide shift to quad headlights, making the '57 model a unique and highly collectible piece of automotive history, a snapshot of a single, glorious year in American design. The engineering legacy is equally important. The new frame and suspension laid the groundwork for future Ford models, proving that a low, stylish car could also be safe and handle well. The E-Code engine cemented Ford's reputation as a serious performance contender, a reputation that would explode in the 1960s with the Mustang and the GT40. The true king of '57. The 1957 Ford Fairlane was more than just a car. It was a cultural phenomenon that, for one brief shining year, took the crown from its biggest competitor. It was a bold statement of American engineering, a fusion of power, style, and forward-thinking design. It is a car that deserves to be remembered not for the shadow of its rival, but for its own verifiable achievements. The sales victory, the revolutionary perimeter frame, the engineering audacity of the Skyliner, and the raw power of the E-Code V8. We have covered a lot of ground today, from the 14-inch wheels that lowered the profile to the 610 feet of wire that powered the retractable hardtop. We've looked at the corporate battles, the safety failures, and the hidden flaws that make this car such a rich subject for a historian. Now, we want to hear from you. Did you or a family member own a '57 Ford? Perhaps you remember the distinct sound of that E-Code V8, or maybe you were one of the few who actually ordered the lifeguard seatbelts. Leave a comment below and share your experience. Your stories are what strengthen this community and help us preserve the history of these incredible machines. We read every comment, and your personal connection to these cars is what makes this history come alive. If you enjoyed this historical deep dive and want to see more content that corrects the record and uncovers the true stories behind classic American iron, please hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. It helps us immensely to continue this work of historical preservation and education. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time, and keep those engines running.